September meeting come to order, stand salute the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Like to acknowledge declaration of quorum, and we'll open this up to public comments, 3 minutes. Name and address. You got it.
Mark Hudak, 929 Porter's Road. So I had a right to know request. I requested Penn Township contract, the previous contract from the township. I was told to do so at a meeting. So I got the information back, and it did not have the last 3 months. The original contract ended on March 31st, and I didn't get any information in regard to April to June 30th. So I appealed it to the right to know, and I was waiting for a response from the right to know. And I got an email from the solicitor firm indicating that they forgot to include one of the pages in the information. So I looked at it, and I'm like, well, still there's no contract. So I wanted to know, is there a contract? Did we get a response from the township regarding the latest contract from April 1st to June 30th, which we weren't under contract for? Did we get a response from that? I'm just like, here's a basic thing. I've asked for the contract for the period for the Penn Waste contract. Here's the last 3 months of the contract, but you guys said we were under contract. We weren't under contract based on the original contract we signed 5 years prior. And the township won't give me a response on why I can't have that document besides it's under appeal. I don't want to appeal stuff. I just want to know we had a contract. So that's one of them. On the other one, there was an issue in March where a township resident was recording after the meeting, and the solicitor sent a letter to this resident indicating that they were in violation of the township ordinance, and also that they could be in violation of PA wiretapping laws. I don't think it's the solicitor's position to be enforcing our ordinance, so I think it was kind of out of line. Here's somebody that's spending their time recording these meetings, and it gets a letter sent to their home from the solicitor of our township, instead of walking up to them and saying, hey, we're not supposed to be recording out there. And you know, the law says if there's consent, then you can record people. So I just think, I mean, what to do with this stuff? It's not funny. I mean, it's kind of like, it's not fair, it's not right. I don't think people should feel like they're not welcome, that they can't record people. Do you agree with that?
I'm not answering the question, but you absolutely mischaracterized the nature of the letter.
I have the letter here.
Read it.
Yeah. But is it your responsibility to enforce ordinances, or is it the police department? Why are you sending a letter?
Your time's up. Thank you. Any other comments tonight? Yes.
My question is for you, Tim, as the chairman. As part of 501c3, our understanding has been for years that you all are trying to get the park board back together, and that the 501c3 charity was to be an integral part of that, including when you requested that Sandy and I, as members of the charity, get together to do the start the park planning process, and that's when the rec board was brought about. So now, in recent history, we have a member of the rec board who is suggesting that, the charity shouldn't be involved, as if that is their prerogative, and I just was looking for some clarification from the supervisors. Thank you.
I support the 501(c), and I think that they should be responsible for the funding, collecting the money, and distributing it.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Yeah, I concur with Tim, fully support the charitable organization, 501(c)(3). I think it was, always my thought that it would be easier for the 501 to raise money on behalf of the park than it would be for the township. If I go knocking on somebody's door and say, hey, can I get $20 as a donation, right into Heidelberg Township, they're gonna say, right, I give you guys enough money. So, the 501(c)(3) is, I think, the work to try to accomplish the tasks of, getting projects further to the park. So, thank you very much for keeping up with the organization through these years, by the way. Appreciate it.
So, I support the 501(c)(3) as a fundraising arm for the rec park. My problem is the wording of the bylaws and how that function is to take place. There are several contradictions to the ordinance that we passed. So, I think we'll discuss that in further detail tonight, but, the rec park board doesn't have fundraising as one of their responsibilities, as per the ordinance. So, any funds that are raised by the 501(c)(3) in conjunction with an event by the park rec board should all go to the township. The 501(c)(3) can't sign a contract for anybody to do work in the park. They can't. So they can't spend the money on the park. The only entity that can spend the money is the township. So why should there be a place for the money to go before it has to go, every penny of it that's raised, to the township? So, and that statement is not a statement of lack of support for the 501(c)(3). They can raise all the money in the world. It just goes to the township. That's all I have.
Okay, I think we have a change to the agenda, Paul.
Yeah, I'd like to, Mr. Chairman, under recreation, move up the motion to appoint people to the rec park board, members and alternates. One of our people on the list has a family obligation, so we want them to be able to meet that. So I'm gonna make a motion. This is on page 3 of your agenda, the 4th item down under recreation, number 13. I make a motion to appoint Dan Wilmot as a member of the rec park board, filling the vacancy created by the resignation of Tara Wetzel. And I make a motion that upon Dan Wilmot's resignation as alternate, Ray Wetzel be appointed as the new alternate to the rec park board.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Dan, did you wanna say something before you have to leave, or?
You need to hear anything from me?
Okay.
Okay.
There's 2 more puppets.
Yeah. Tim?
Tim sent us 6118 job. I'd just like to address this letter that was read last week about the wife. I'm not up here to defend her, but this thing that was read about us meeting with Matt privately, and we're not filling out the proper paperwork. Now, I'm up here to this is a downright lie. There's 3 people up here that do it. Matt, you know we didn't do it properly.
Is your mic on?
He's not got it.
A little closer.
Yeah, can you hear now? Keep it loud.
Keep it right up to your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't meet privately. We met back in November, and it wasn't about a rec park order between 2 brothers of Christ talk, good talk. And then she mentioned Barb and Judy, that she knew they had the paperwork. And isn't it the board's responsibility to like step up and set the record straight? I mean, I went and watched this again on the video before I came here. And everybody says there, it's like, does truth matter to the board? I mean, people want to know the truth of these things. I mean, I don't know if you care if we met or she filled out the paperwork. But, I don't know, it just seems like somebody there should set the record straight.
You're exactly right, Tim. Sometimes when I don't respond, I need to give myself time to think about it for a response. I think after the meeting, there was a few people that went and tried to clear the air on that. But, you know, if you really want to go back in history, early last year, when I had spoken to Vicki, she had, before we even had the concept of a park board, Vicki had expressed interest. So she was the very first one. The other part is we didn't meet in secret. There was people that knew we met in your Freedom Log house. We meet at your house. And we talked about some very pertinent things. Yeah, the rumor can be cleared up. And it's not unheard of for, I think Paul meets with Andy Brew, and I think Travis, and a couple of the other gentlemen up there, and I think some, progress has been made out of that. So I think we just need to stop the finger pointing. I said before, I'm not going to make everybody happy, and 50% of the time I'm always going to be wrong to somebody, so I have to always live with that. But I just ask everybody to, we can agree to disagree, but we all need to move on. So I would really like it if everybody would, think before we speak, and don't speak out of anger, and talk things through to yourself and try to get the answer right. So, but Tim, you're absolutely right. It is important. I just sometimes need time to think it over in my head how I respond to things. And, I didn't feel last month was appropriate to respond yet. And, now that you brought it up, I'm glad you did, because I wasn't quite sure how I was gonna do it anyway. So, but I had thought that after the meeting last month, some of those things were addressed and taken care of, so.
Well, I don't like to choose any bottom line, but when I know 100% sure it's a lie, I'm gonna bring it up. And I suspect there's a lot more going on in there. And you can lie and make bylaws to fit your agenda and do whatever you want. But I'm telling you, you're gonna give an account one day.
Yep,
It
exactly.
might look like you're getting away with it now. one day that God will love in their life, they're gonna do it count.
You're exactly right, sir. Thank you, Tim.
Any other? In the back.
Kathy Wilkes. Kathy Wilkes, 6308 Tamarind Drive. So I've tried not to come up here publicly. June of last year, my husband called the township building and reported that at 6299 Hoff Road, there is overgrowth at the corner of Hoff Road and Tamarind Drive that you cannot see a clear line of path when you pull out. The problem is that's where our children get on the bus stop, okay? So this year, my son started at Tech, which means he has to cross the street to get on the bus, and he had a car slide through the stop sign of the bus because they didn't see the intersection and they didn't see the bus. So now I'm here. Over the past year, we've called the township, I've talked to Paul, I've talked to PennDOT, we've talked to Seth Grove's office and Kate Klump's office, and everybody likes to point the fingers back and forth. It's not the township's problem because it's a PennDOT road, it's not PennDOT's problem because it's in the township. So I'm just here to ask what the resolution is gonna be before one of our kids gets killed.
So I did not point the finger at anybody else. I made a suggestion, and I made that same suggestion to our assistant roadmaster and asked him to forward that and get approval on it from Barbara. I suggested that a letter be written to the resident that it's causing a safety issue, and that would he please trim his bushes, his flowers back. If not, the township will have to do it, and that the township would then go and trim it back. So I did not point the finger to anybody. I attempted to come up with a solution. I don't know if that solution ever made it off of square one. But that's, to me, that's the solution. You gotta trim it.
And thank you, Paul, because you
And,
did try, you did
and,
tell me.
and in sympathy to the property owner.
PennDOT said it was outside the right of way, but Chris Walker said that the right of way was 30 feet. We did try to come to a peaceful resolution of putting up a safety mirror, but the park removed that. We do have a letter from all 26 residents that live in our community asking for something to please be done.
So in defense of the property owner, it's a very steep slope, very hard for him to maintain, keeping it trimmed. I even would consider the township paying to grade it back a little bit further if the property owner would be, agreeable to that. But I understand that if we trim it, it should more than likely occur on a regular basis. And that would be my solution.
Does Crystal think that it is within the right of way of the road?
Yes. He came out and measured, and he said that it was within, that 30 feet actually comes
Yeah.
down to the big street on their property.
Yeah.
And completely takes that embankment away.
Yeah, it's within 30.
Then, let's just have Chris go out and take care of it.
Well, I think you ought to send a letter to the resident first. I really,
We haven't done, we've not communicated with residents.
other than verbal conversation,
And they were opposed.
from my understanding,
Why don't we
yes.
just send Chris to his house, knock on the door, see if we can.
Let's do that, and then have him explain it's within the right of way, and then, look, it's gotta be done,
I,
yeah, it's gotta be done.
I think you're gonna need a letter.
Okay, can we do a letter? Yes, we can do a letter. Okay, let's do that. We're gonna take care of it. Yeah. comments tonight? Okay, very good. I'd like to make a motion to approve August Board of Supervisors meeting minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Communications, Department of Transportation, hit run is paid in full.
Hip hip, hooray!
Public safety, we don't have a credit. Oh, yes, aye.
Head southwest toward Porter's Road.
Head the other way.
Hey, Bob Wilkes, Chief Administrator too. For the month of August, Heidelberg, we responded to a total of 23 calls. 16 were in Heidelberg Township, 2 in Jackson Township, 2 in North Doris, 1 in Paradise, 2 in Spring Grove. We had an average of 5 firefighters per call. For maintenance night, we had 6 members for 12 hours. Training for boat ops, we had 4 members, 12 hours, and pump refresher training for 8 members for 24 hours. Responded to 3 fire alarms, 2 gas leaks, 3 medical assists, 1 carbon monoxide, 6 MVAs with injuries, 3 MVAs for debris removal, 1 wire call, 1 fire police call, outside fire rubbish, 3 calls. We were canceled around once, canceled for responding once, and working fire 3. Engine for the month of August, engine 53-1 responded 14 times, engine 53-2 2 times, brush 53 3 times, and utility 6 times. And fuel's there.
Any questions? Thanks.
Chief Lash gave me a couple things here to comment on. The construction on our new headquarters, police headquarters, continues on schedule. The cell tower that will be at the Porter's substation, Tony Drive, is moving forward with the permits and plans. And one date, October 23rd, from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., we'll be having our Officer Dave Stone Memorial Picnic at Little Creek Park in Jackson Township. It's open to the public. Like to see you come out. Everything's free of charge there. And that's all I have.
Lieutenant, what are the negatives about the stolen vehicle on Hilltop Drive? Anything about that?
I personally don't have any knowledge of it.
I will find out and get back to you.
Okay. Monitoring, all that, planning, design stuff. Ah.
Alright, so since Chris isn't here, just letting you know, we've received 3 permit applications, issued 1 building permit and 2 zoning permits, and collected $200 in August. Want to go ahead and do the code enforcement and go back to your motions?
Well, who is that down there? Oh, that's Judy. Oh, okay.
So, we'll do the motions. You do the first two.
You want me to do motions?
No, I'll do.
So I just did the zoning activity.
Okay.
Do you want me to do code enforcement while I have the money?
Yeah, why don't you do that?
Just that progress has been noted on several properties, that were set notices of violations, and a few of them are still in progress.
Motion to approve the preliminary land development plan for Yazoo Mills, 37 Industrial Drive, Penn Township, and Heidelberg Township, project number 5051-20, drawn by Todd E. Schmay, registered professional engineer, DC Dunn Associates, dated January 8, 2024, and as revised April 8, 2024. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to approve the final subdivision plan for Derrick and Brandy Baker, 1451 and 1425 Jacobs Mill Road, project number 83-2189. Drawn by Doug Crawford, professional land surveyor, dated July 2, 2024, and last revised August 2, 2024. I have those plans right in front of me. They have been signed by the planning commission. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Finance.
Okay, under finance, you have the August treasurer's report. I need a motion to accept that.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, you have the, I need a motion to approve the August bills paid report.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Next one is a motion to accept the August office maintenance activity report.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Then, motion to accept the rate to know request report. Under the report, we have 0 new requests in August. The total year-to-date was 46. Year-to-date, the township spent, $8,319.04, solicitor costs, $7,344. We have not received the bill yet for August for the solicitor to add to that total yet. We are working on the bill, so that's why there would be, solicitor costs. Year-to-date estimated, township employee hours spent on right to know is 242 3/4 hours.
I'd like to make the motion to accept the report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Again, since Chris isn't here, I'll go ahead and talk about the highway, roads, and streets. Boom mowing is ongoing. The Mack dump truck is or will be back very soon from frame, blasting, and recoating to prevent further salt damage. This will come out of the COVID fund. The update on the storm damage from Debbie is that trees were cleared from the roads throughout the township and storm drains were checked as frequently as other problems would allow. It should be noted that the storm drains do work with the exception of a few, and they are aware of those. A log jam developed in Oil Creek along Sycamore Drive, and we are in the process of removing it. The resulting flooding washed out a portion of the new road surface and severely eroded the creek bank at the edge of the road. We are removing the log jam to prevent further issues and will be applying for a grant from York County Conservation District to cover the costs. We are also in the process of acquiring an emergency permit through DEP to restore and armor the creek bank as well as restore the road surface. We are also applying for grant funding for these expenses with another DGR grant. The York County Conservation District has been a huge help for this event, along with Jackson Township, who allowed us to use their backhoe.
I'd like to make the motion to approve resolution 2024-08 for the municipal winter maintenance service agreement as required by PennDOT. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nothing to report from the engineer, and, rail trail report from Peg.
Good evening, I'm Peg Moulton. I'm the Heidelberg Township representative on the operating committee for the Heidelberg Trolley Trail Development, giving you monthly updates on our progress. And first off, I just want to let you know that I attended a wellness fair for the Springboro School District Wellness Fair on August 19th. I manned a table there with my cohort went loose, and we saw probably 400 people. I mean, every school district employees, teacher, maintenance worker, whatever, came through and had face-to-face talks with us about the Heidelberg Trolley Trail, which is really very, very rewarding and I think informative to everyone. So that's just one of the other ancillary things that I do as part of this committee. Also, I attended a meeting yesterday with the planning committee for the Heritage York County Rail Trail Authority. And there is a lot of progress going on with the Heidelberg Trolley Trail development. I do have, I was able to participate in a strategic planning session on an updated mission statement and vision statement for the entire thing, trying to just update our communication so that it's easier for the community and residents to understand exactly what the Rail Trail Authority does and what specifically we're doing with the Heidelberg Trolley Trail development. So that was pretty good, and I will be sharing some of that information ongoing. I do want to let you know that the Oil Creek Restoration Project is really making great progress. Hopefully, we'll be able to have some opportunity for residents to visit that in maybe the near future. We are, again, working on the section between the Warehouse property line out to Jacobs Mill. Is being restored in 2 phases. Phase 1 is near completion. Phase 2 is under design way, but we are having to bid out the contracts for the construction work there. So the partners there are Aquatic Resource Restoration Contractors, ARRC. That's most of the huge equipment that you see down there on 116, ARRC. So that their part in phase 2 of the Oak Creek restoration needs to be rebid. Our other partners are C.S. Davidson is the engineer and the designer. We also have Land Studies, who's doing the ecological design, and that's usually who meets with us and takes us on tours of the progress of the restoration. It's a fascinating process. I'm so glad to be able to be involved in that. So that's about all I have right now. We are currently working on, it's already the design and the plans and the funding's already done to extend the trail from Gitzhorn Road to the edge of the Warehouse property. Later I can show you on this map exactly where that is. We also have the design in place for coming down what we're calling a connector from the edge of the Warehouse property to the railroad tracks, which we're doing the trail development and building on right now. So those are the things that are going on. I know that's a lot. I do have newsletters here and brochures here. I'm happy to stay after our meeting, as usual, to answer specific questions that anybody might have. And that's about it for now. But it's really going well, and it's very exciting, and I think everyone's going to be very, very pleased with the end result. Thank you.
Any questions for Peg? Okay, good. Thank you. John Johnson Ball. Rec Board report.
John Johnson, Ball, 790 Memphis Mills Road. Okay, the Park and Recreation Board has been working really hard. We even had a special meeting to submit to you proposed draft bylaws, which I understand you had. Also, dog stations were approved by the board, I believe, and they will be put up in the park as to how the rec board sees fit.
They were approved. They're going to be approved tonight.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Another thing that we have done is we have broken into focus groups in which members of the board have taken an area where they're interested in and they're going out and coming up with not bids, but prices and things to bring areas back into maintenance and repair. One of the areas is the concession stand, additional parking for the ball fields at the lower end of the township building, ADA handicap compliance, we're working on that, resealing the basketball court, and of course, we're a little late, but we've been extremely busy. We're gonna be working on the budget, the September of 17. Any questions?
I don't see any. Does the concession stand work include fixing the windows?
What was that?
The concession stand, discussion is going on in the airport. Can we get those windows fixed? Can that be put on the
We
agenda?
will have a report on that on the 17th,
Okay,
so we're,
yeah,
hopefully that's going to be, moving forward.
great.
Tim, Lori and I did meet with the contractor, and that is gonna be taken care of. Both sets are broken.
Yes,
Front
great.
window and the side window is broken
Yep.
also.
Yep.
So that's all in the proposal that Lori and I are thinking.
Great, 'cause
Yep.
we don't wanna go in the winter with that.
No,
Right.
no, we're gonna get that taken care of.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, John.
John and the board. All the board, thank you.
Yep, thank you, guys. I'd like to make a motion to approve the purchase of 2 dog waste stations by the 5013C. Oh, I missed it. Let me make this motion and she'll do it. To be placed strategically in the park as recommended by the rec board. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay. Sandy, you're up. Yeah, for the State Ethics Commission rule.
I think Mr. Schultz is.
Oh. Sorry. I just followed the script.
When Sandy was appointed to the rec board, since she also is a member of the board of directors of the 501c3, the issue came up whether or not she could have a voting conflict between the two organizations, since they will be working together. So the way to resolve that is to ask the Ethics Commission to issue a formal decision. Sandy submitted the letter of request. The Ethics Board wrote back and determined that there is no voting conflict between Sandy and her 2 respective roles. So that cleared up that potential issue.
That's great news. Thanks, Tim. Motion to authorize Chairman of the Board, Timothy Hansen, to execute a contract by and between the County of York and Heidelberg Township in the amount of $20,000 to conduct a water services feasibility study. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion?
Yep, go ahead.
So, I was under the impression that we were geared up to apply for the rural small water system grant in October. This feasibility study is not gonna be done in 30 days. I thought we knew what we needed. We needed a second well, a tank, and emergency electrical generation. We've got the grant going for the security. If we do the feasibility study, we push back the grant another year at least. I don't know what's taken us so long. Why we need it.
Matt, do you have any comments on that?
My only response would be,
I agree with you, Paul. I just, the feasibility study, I would imagine, would solidify the reason for the grant and make it more powerful, in other words, to receiving the grant. I think we can still apply for the grants and basically write in the narrative that we're working on the feasibility study. I don't know when they plan to award grants, but it may be, sometimes these grants take a year to award, so it may be, you know, we don't know the timing. I can't guess, but, I mean, I think it helps us in the end to get the grant if we can prove what's feasible and cost effective, I guess.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Well, the grants, I think, are awarded in January on that particular application.
Is the feasibility study required to get the grant?
No.
Is that your understanding, Barb?
This is the blank grant you all told us to apply for the water, committee, which is why we're waiting for the water committee to get
Yeah.
to get involved in determining what we need to move forward. So we've been approved to the county, this is the contract that was out of the county, and they'll do the study in conjunction with citizens and the committee. As far as the other one, we already received the security grant, like Paul said. And the engineers are pulling together all the information needed for that. The other grant through the small things was a lot of equipment to get trucks and trailer and all that, which we don't know yet if we're getting that. They're expecting the award to be sometime November, December. But no grant has been applied for anything in October because I didn't know it was supposed to.
We don't have that plan in place yet for the study or the project that we want the water committee to get together. So we need to do this first. I think it makes sense to do it for, you know, that gives our water committee the tools ahead of time to start working with.
So what's the procedure? Do we send, if this is approved, do we send out a request for qualifications for someone to do it, or does it go to C.S. Davidson?
The county will take care of that.
The county awards it.
They will do the, request, correct, they will.
Okay, so,
And we're responsible for anything over the 20,000.
They projected to be able to do everything under $20,000.
I understand what they predict, but we're responsible for their
Well, we can
prediction being
assume if
a
it
little short.
goes over, we could just say stop.
Well, I don't know about that.
The contract says, but,
You got a copy of the contract.
I'm gonna take that risk, and I'm gonna, again, ask for a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Paul?
No.
Okay. Listen.
Before we move off on the water.
Yeah.
If I may, please. So, I spoke to two members of the water committee, and they've heard nothing about a meeting. Can we contact the water committee and ask when they can get together for a meeting? Because the gentleman was also saying he had some information on the rate increases that we tabled and referred to them last month. So, let's get the water committee up and running.
Yeah, absolutely. Travis, do you have any comments?
I don't know what will be a good day for everybody, as far as day of the week and week of the month and all that stuff like we do our other meetings. I talked to Heather on Sunday, she didn't even know that she was on the board, so.
Okay.
I think we got a little bit of,
Yeah,
going to
we
do
need to
this.
send a communication. Okay. Okay, and communication would say, yeah, you guys were elected, and we need to get a date for the meeting.
can save the time and energy on that and just work on getting a date together, because Heather knows now,
Yeah.
Alan knows as well.
I think there should be some kind of official communication if you're on the board.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to do that. Yeah. Okay, let's make that happen.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. I would like to, make a motion to revise the township manager ordinance. Right, so this was, yeah. What we're doing is we're authorizing the advertisement of the township manager ordinance revisions. And those revisions are very close to complete, but not completely done yet. So we still can advertise and get our changes in before we go ahead with the approval. So, yes.
So my second item under my agenda
Yes.
is also under the motion
That's correct.
to rewrite, approve, and advertise.
And that, yep, okay, so that's gonna be done. And your comments on, the second bullet, as we discussed, will be included. So, again, I make the motion to authorize the solicitor advertise. Do I hear a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item has to do with the park rules and regulations, which is an ordinance amendment. I put together a draft ordinance amendment, which repeated verbatim the list of rules that I think the township received. The only one that I had a question about is in italics. It's rule number 5. The rule states, no activity that does not have designated area. And I wasn't sure what that really applied to, given that folks could go to the park, walk around. That's an activity, it doesn't have a designated area, so I don't know how to resolve that. Maybe ask Mr. Johnson to help clarify that. Or anyone else on the board.
Well, the walking is designated area, the walking is. How we word it, in line is for a golf, like there's no golf course there, there's no green, so obviously there's no golfing allowed.
So with the regulation better saying there's no golfing?
You want it to be more specific?
I don't know how to enforce that. Because there could be any activity that doesn't have a designated area to it.
Okay, then we can make it more specific.
So it relates to golf.
Well,
No.
no, not necessarily golf, I was just using that as an example.
Some of our conversations, like with drones becoming so popular, like, you know, what's gonna keep someone from bringing a drone and flying a drone around? So we were trying to cover maybe some more, some of those type of things that it's kind of hard to be specific about.
I think it's gonna be difficult not to be specific. I mean, you know, can you play with a frisbee, you know, can.
Yeah. Personally, I don't see what's wrong with somebody going out there with a golf club and knocking a couple golf balls.
Well, unless it would hit somebody, I guess. Or, maybe the board needs more time on this.
Would it be better to iterate what are allowable activities and specify that these are the allowable activities unless you come forth with a proposed proposal to amend our ordinance?
Yeah,
I don't know, I mean, so, I mean,
there must be, other parts that have to deal with this, maybe, can we just take more time and, you guys wanna think about this a little more?
Sure, you did send it back to us and we'll work on it.
And maybe check some other township parks and see how they deal with it, cause the golf is a good example, you can't, you gotta be hitting balls with people walking around, obviously, and the drones is bad too.
Well, the drones have a specific line in there anyway. No
Okay,
drones.
yeah, we don't want that, so, why don't you guys go back and get that clarified?
So the motion is perhaps to table.
Yes, the motion is the table.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Should there be a section that says specifically prohibited or these activities? Golfing or hitting golf balls or
Projectiles, paintball would be
axe,
out.
axe throwing.
yeah, these kind of things, I mean, you have.
Rifle practice out.
Shot put,
No shot put.
javelin.
Sighting your gun.
Okay.
So that,
Not giving up my hopscotch.
that's within the designated area. So, the next item is, approve the agreement, between the township manager and, township, which I circulated to the board, with certain blanks in it about PTO and things like that, because I didn't have it. So, we do have that data now, but it's up to the board to approve that agreement.
Is that right?
Well, why don't we just pay? Why do we have to have an agreement? This is for Barbara.
It's the, oh, is this,
It relates, for the most part, to the PTO amount.
Okay.
Because she will have unused PTO.
I see.
She hasn't collected the Social Security reimbursement?
That was sent in to be processed this week.
Good, thank you. So, we can, hold off then on the PTO until we discuss the numbers. Because you left that blank. We can't approve something that's blank.
Right, I didn't, when I wrote the agreement, I did not have the numbers. They are, I have the numbers now, but you don't have those.
we don't have,
No, I have them.
Yeah.
You don't.
Well, so we have to table it.
what do you think, Matt?
Since we didn't see anything ahead of time.
Table it?
We can table it, that can be taken care of.
Okay.
Next time.
Make a motion, table
We have those numbers finalized.
the township manager, agreement. Do I hear a second?
If, discussion,
Yeah.
if I give you the numbers I have and they match, then I can go ahead with it. Or do you wanna just still
I
table
think
it?
we should table it,
Okay,
but let us know your numbers.
okay.
Do I hear a second on the table?
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Aye.
The last item on the agenda is the park board bylaws. I did review those. I had some comments which I circulated to the board. Those comments related in three general areas. One is consistency with the ordinance, township code and the Sunshine Act, the role of the township manager and the park board chairman, and the scope of the park board's responsibilities, like about funds and coordination with the 501c3. Those are just my comments, so I don't know if the board has further comments or how the board wants to proceed in getting an agreed to set of bylaws with the as I know, they have not, my comments have not been shared with the department board.
Yeah, so, and you've highlighted those items, but then you also provided detail where, there's, for instance, it's not consistent with our ordinances. So I think the next step is to put it in front of the park board, and you guys go through that as you continue to, complete the bylaws and take into account our existing ordinance, and either the ordinance is gonna need to change or the bylaws are gonna have to be changed, but they have to be consistent. So you guys are in agreement with that, to do that? Sure. Yeah, so we'll get that.
So I make a motion to forward the Heidelberg Park and Recreation Board bylaws with the comments from the solicitor to the Rec Park Board for further consideration.
Second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay.
I would like to just make one further comment. Page 6 of your bylaws, coordination with the 501c3 charity. There are some comments there from the solicitor, but I'd like to make a suggestion, comment, observation. If you look at each paragraph, it says may. The 501c3 may coordinate. The 501c3 may collect the money. The 501c3 can co-sponsor. My point would be, if you take out the mays, if you take out that whole section, nothing changes. The 501c3 may still coordinate, as long as the board recommends it to the Board of Supervisors and we approve it. There's no change in what the 501c3 can do if that section is removed. It's all still a maybe. So I don't see the need to have it in there, quite frankly, and that's just my comment, observation. It's not part of the motion. It was just my comment. So thank you.
One final item, I need to announce that the board has an executive session tonight, here from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock p.m. regarding the employment of current and prospective public employees under section 708A1 and other privilege matters with its solicitor under section 708A5.
Thanks, Tim. Back to Paul's comment. And the questions to Tim. If that section is removed, does that in any way make it, take away any authorization for the 501(c)(3) to collect funds and basically manage the funds?
No, however, it does have affirmative duties that it imposes on the 501c3, and appoints to them, for example, to be like the grant writer for the township. You may want that, or you may not want that. But Paul's point about all of this thing, maybe, if you take it out, it doesn't change the fact that the 501c3 can do exactly what it's supposed to do. So
I just don't want to lessen the power.
right, it doesn't.
Yeah, because of what we're saying.
Yeah, it has all the power it wants to exercise.
Comment from Meg. Yes, ma'am.
The language in there about may, this may contest, it had been shall happen, and then, one of the board members objected and suggested that things were not gonna be going through the charity, and wanted to strike that language, so I made the suggestion about changing the language to may. So, without, there are other provisions about accountability and transparency with financial transactions that are in that selection. I don't know why you would want to remove that. And then there are other considerations about insurance, which is a primary concern of 501c3, because, we don't want the, exposure of having some of this, we don't want the legal liability that is associated.
Sure.
So if, and since we are, any monies that come in are from the community and specifically, and only going back out to the park, having the township cover us as an additionally insured, having that happen through the township at a much lower rate, because you all already have insurance, rather than having us secure a separate policy that will be much more expensive, et cetera, et cetera. It just seems that that's an economy, that the township can provide for having those operations.
Okay, thank you. Yes.
So I have a couple questions, about 501c3. When I was, and I'll just give my experience, when I was on the, last committee, as chairman, we had, Fedora State Park had a 501c3, exactly what makes this 501c3. They had their own charities and things that they did, the Halloween in the park and that kind of stuff. I was a board, just like with the rec park board, we were a group of volunteers that put on the blast. So what happened was, I was on that for 12 years. The first 10 years, the 501c3 that we worked with the Fedora's Passive for the park, they were excellent people. They worked with us, what stuff that the rec park, our last board wanted to do, they had the same, goals and vision as we did. But what happens is, in those kind of instances, that's a board, those members change all the time. The 11th year into it, that board, some of the people moved away, and a whole group of people who were, retired people who were in the campground, who camped all the time, they became the Friends of Fedoras. They actually became the board men, this group of people. Well, the monies that we had raised and solicited, the blast committee did, was to put a handicap mid-dam playground in, up where the band shell was. It was all approved by Mary, who was head of the Parks and Rec and of the state of Pennsylvania, that Larry and I worked with. But what happened was, all that money we solicited from the businesses, all of our hundreds of volunteers that did the blast to put this playground in, the money that the 501c3, once that money all went to them, they decided that they didn't want a public playground. They used that money and they put a playground over in the campground, because that's where they were camping, and bought the place for Mary Ann Furnace. This is why I have concerns where, when you have a volunteer group of 501c3, there's no legislation, yeah, they were using it for that, but it wasn't what it was intended for. And there's nothing to prosecute them for. So that's why I, as a volunteer, and many of the people that have spoken to me about it, would like to be working for the township, where it's not just a group of people who gets to decide what that money is spent on. The money, the way that the rec park's going to, what we're gonna do to fix the park is gonna generate a lot of money for the township. Once we get this all fixed and up and going, potentially, to cover all maintenance for the park, it will cover upgrades to get swings and fix all this stuff. That's why I'm not against the 501c3, but the thing of it is that group did all kinds of programs. This 501c3 hasn't done anything, any programs. So all I'm saying is, my reservation is, just from what I saw happen, there was a lot of volunteers that were extremely upset. They gave hours and hours, and it was never spent for that. And you won't be able to stop them once you give them that money. That's the
Okay.
simple happen.
Look, what you cited, what happened to 501(c), it can happen with the park board too, right? The same thing can happen on that side, where all the members that are in are replaced, and then they do things their way. The idea is that you guys have to work together. You have to work together.
But what I'm saying is, the money that we raised and generated, I will gladly work with the nonprofit. I'm just saying, the monies that we raised should go to the township, and then them do you would do a ledger, and all the money would go to you. So you could have control, and the community will actually have control. Once that money goes to the 501(c)(3), the community has no say in how that money is spent. Trust me, this is exactly why people quit the blast and why they quit the blast now. So once they get the money, that board decides how the money is spent.
But the supervisors approve it. You guys can't spend any money
Well, we
without our
can't as a rec
approval.
board, but I'm saying, if the township has the money, once that 501(c)(3) has the money, they can spend it on administrative fees. Look at the nonprofits, there is so much
Now,
money
we
that they can spend.
need to approve any money collected and how it's spent. That's the way it is, and that's the way it'll stay. Okay. Thanks for your comments, both sides. Most important thing is to remain calm and work together and come up with agreements, but the Board of Supervisors will determine where the money is spent ultimately. Okay. Any comments? Mark, Matt?
Now that
No,
we
I'm
know
fine.
it's not a conflict of interest to belong to both organizations.
Exactly.
It would behoove some of the members to be members of the 501(c)(3), so they have a say.
Yeah, and that's great that's allowed. All right, let's keep going. So the bylaws are going back to the board to make sure they don't conflict with the ordinance. I have no items tonight. Vice Chairman has an item.
This is a yearly thing, but it's, for motion to approve the MMO for the Heidelberg Township Police Pension Plan. And, for those that have been here, a long time knows that Heidelberg used to have a police force, and we have one person on the pension. The actuarial present value is $97,599. The value of assets, $114,786. Administrative charges were $20. That's reimbursed. Credits were 0, surplus 1,719. And that comes off, nothing due for the MMO, -1719. So, looking for a motion to approve that MMO. That has to be done every year.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And it's Paul's up.
All right, I make a motion to authorize the solicitor to draft a resolution for the township to adopt the municipal documents retention manual. This manual outlines, the procedures of which documents you have to retain and how you retain them. So and as we are gonna hopefully be starting to digitize our records, this is the time to, adopt that policy. So I make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
My second item has already been included in the, township manager ordinance revisions, so I'll jump down to the third one. Authorize Judy to attend the York County Township Association Convention, which is held October 30th in York.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ben Niner to take CDL classes. We need another plow driver, snow plow driver. So I believe that the employer should have some kind of guarantee when you pay for a license or a certification that you have X amount of commitment to employment. So I ask that an agreement be drawn up with Ben to, determine how many years, this would be done by the manager, Barbara, to draw up the agreement, to drive the plow for X number of years, to, and then if he doesn't, that number of years, he pays a portion of the class cost back to the township. So I make a motion that the manager work out an agreement with Ben Snyder to take CDL classes and reimburse the township, if he doesn't stay employed for a certain number of years.
How much is it?
I don't know. I think it's a couple $1,000s. What was it when Chris took it, Barbara? Do you remember?
Do we know?
I think it's less than
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Couple.
at least stay a year. You know, we could make an agreement with him to pay for it if he stays a year. Yeah.
You want Judy to do it?
Yeah, we have to do it. Yeah, that'd be good.
All right, that's good.
Okay, I'll make the motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I want to mention that Ben has been doing a really great job for us, been a real asset to the township. No old business, no new business, upcoming meetings, planning commission, September 11th, 2024, 6 p.m. at the township building. Rec board, September 17th, 2024, 6 p.m. at the township building. Zoning hearing board, September 25, 2024, 7 p.m. at the township building. Board of Supervisors regular scheduled meeting, October 2, 2024, 6 p.m. at the fire hall. And with that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion?
Yeah.
So I have to set the record straight. Years ago, I stated that I was driving down Smith Station Road and I looked over into the farm field and I saw the corn stalks brought up in a group, which I have since learned is called shocking the corn. Well, I've been told by the agricultural experts that I was seeing things, I was dreaming, I was having a mirage, because the shocking of the corn did not occur in 1985 when I moved in here. They were done with that way back in 1980. Now, I have learned that a few Amish still do it. So I am looking for that one Amish farmer that may have been on the Wilderson farm that fall. And that's my only chance for redemption here. But otherwise, I gave you all false information and I'm setting it straight. I'm sorry about that.
We'll let it slide this time.
I
Took a beating over that.
Comment from Andy. Yes.
I'm not aware that there's a zoning hearing. Do we have anything to come before the zoning hearing board?
September 25th, is there anything?
We don't have anything yet.
So she schedules it, but then if nothing comes up, it gets canceled.
The end of the week is probably canceled.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything. Okay. So here comes the note.
That's the PTA time call.
Okay. I don't know if it matches, but we're gonna adjourn the meeting. So here a second on adjourning this meeting again.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody.